where was what we did in games 1 and 2? It didn't show up. The Celtics did 20 of 40 from beyond the arc. Nearly as many made three-pointers here in game 3 as they made in the first 2 games combined. They were a putrid 25 of 100 from three-point range in games 1 and 2. Much better here in game 3, 20 of 40. That's the difference. You're going to say, well, what was different for the Celtics in this game? From three-point range, that was the difference. That's why they won 115-93. And now perhaps what everybody's going to joke about, Celtics at 6. Instant analysis. Welcome to CBS Sports NBA insider Bill Ryder. Celtics 25 of 100 from three-point range in games 1 and 2, 20 of 40 in game 3. That was the difference, Bill. But what was clicking? Why were they able to get so many good open looks here in game 3 compared to the first 2?
I think they had some open looks in the first 2 games too, Akeem. I just think this was a bit of a regression to the mean, and you said it. The difference in this game is 50% of 43s is a lot better than 20% of whatever, 25 threes, whatever the number was for the Knicks. Now, look, there was certainly a sense of urgency that the Celtics had that was critical, that was important. You saw it from Jump Street. And so maybe the Knicks let go of the rope a little bit, weren't quite as focused, didn't have that same level of desperation. Because you are right. It did seem like Boston had a few more open looks. It was a little bit easier. And unlike some of those other games, those first couple games, they actually hit those shots.
When you look at what the Celtics were able to do, and it's really no surprise what happened in this game, right? That they came back in game 3. They weren't just going to roll over. What did you see from them in terms of how they played with more aggression in this game?
Yeah, I mean, they were so much more physical, and I think a big part of this was, and again, it's hard to, honestly, Akeem, it's hard to know which Celtics team to believe. Is it the team in the first 2 games that couldn't hit a 3, or the team in this game that couldn't miss a shot? And a lot of that was how much better Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown were. I don't know where you come down on this, and I don't know that the answer matters when one of them are playing well. For me, Jaylen Brown is the leader of this team, is the guy that's been really reliable last year in that playoff run, has been outstanding in the fourth quarter. But when they both shoot well and play well and have that confidence and have that swagger, and you see it infuse the rest of the team, they're really hard to beat. And I thought both of these guys had the kind of games that you need a star player to have, a leader to have. Maybe it's just semantics. The guy to have when you're down 2-0 in a series. And it wasn't just Tatum or just Brown. Both guys, to my eye, played really well, and not just the offensive numbers, their defense, their energy, yes, their physicality. This was a Boston team that came out and absolutely dominated New York. But Hakeem, again, I don't know if there's a pattern here, because not only did Boston hit half their threes, the Knicks couldn't hit a shot. And so I'm really interested when you get sort of the happy medium that's normal, when both these teams are hitting in the 35-38% range in terms of three-point shots, who has the advantage? We don't know, because we haven't seen that yet.
You'd expect the Knicks to lose a game in this series, right? They weren't going to sweep the Celtics and get a sweep and go 4-0 and win 2 at MSG. We knew that wasn't going to happen. This Celtics team is just too good, defending NBA champions the season they had in the Eastern Conference. You knew the Knicks were going to have to work to win this series. They had to work to win the first 2 games, rallying from back-to-back 20-point deficits. The 5 of 25 from beyond the arc, sure, maybe they can correct that in game 4. What are the adjustments now that you're trying to make here in game 4 when you're back in your building? You say, okay, the Celtics got one, but now we really got to buckle down.
Yeah, I think there's a few things. I think there has to be a sense of urgency. And I know that sounds counterintuitive if you're up 2-1 heading into a home game, but I think the Knicks have to almost act Akeem and convince themselves that they're the underdogs and just sort of encourage that a little bit. It's worth reminding New York Knicks fans and the Knicks, not disrespect. Facts, you won these games, so you get the credit for them. You may not have been the best team in this opening round series that you had against the Pistons. You got past them, but it wasn't an easy battle. And then you got into this game against the Celtics. You're obviously the better team because you're up 2-1, but you weren't for the first 3.5 quarters of games 1 and 2. And so you can't rely on 20-point comebacks. You have to have a sense of urgency. And then the obvious things, you need Jalen Brunson to be outstanding the entirety of the game. And I think one of those guys who goes under the radar, Hakeem, except when he doesn't play well, especially offensively, is OG Anunoby. This guy is, I think, for me, one of the most important players on the New York Knicks. Did not have a great offensive night, did not have a great start to the game offensively, and just looked a little bit off on the defensive end. It happens. Guys have off nights. But for me, it's do not allow those easy looks for the Celtics. Be more physical. Make them feel you. Make them understand it's going to be a battle, whatever happens. and you need your Brunsons and your OGs to just go out there and try to set a tone of desperation, even though counterintuitively you're up 2-1 in the series heading into Game 4.
Yeah, Cat and Brunson in some late foul trouble, but yeah, you're right about OG. 2 points on 1 of 6. Need much better output from him to win this series. And right now, Boston still minus 320. Even being down 2-1, minus 320 to win the series. What do you make of those odds?
I mean, unfortunately, if like me, you just sort of want to see basketball at the Garden and you want to see conference finals and maybe a finals, I think that's probably right because, and again, this sounds like such disrespect that it's the opposite. I think it's remarkable what the Knicks have done to get here, and not just the 2 20-point comebacks in games 1 and 2, playing against a really good Pistons team where you found a way to win. Boston's not shooting 15, 17, 16, 18% from the three-point line going forward, Akeem. And actually, if the math plays itself out, they're probably going to shoot pretty well like they did tonight. There's going to be a regression. Guys are going to hit shots. And I think as the Celtics play better, they got one, right? This was such a critical game, and they obviously got this game. They hit half their threes. Jason Tatum looked really good from the three-point line from deep. That hasn't been true the entire postseason. That's going to infuse them with some confidence, I think, and probably get them back to where they are. So the reason Vegas sees it the way that they do is because you're not going to have these bizarre statistical anomalies where Boston can't shoot. Oh, and remember, even when Boston couldn't shoot, which is what they do well and more often than any team, literally from three-point line in the history of the game, they still should have won games 1 and 2 because they're up 20 points in both those games. You put it all together, I think Vegas sees a markedly better team in Boston. The question becomes, is that toughness, that living on that edge, that ability to play these close games then win them, does that come through for the next 2 more times? It can, but I think Vegas understands that that's not the likely outcome.
I want Knicks in 7.
Oh, me too.
You think we get it?
I'm here for it. Yeah, look, I think we do. Look, the Celtics team they're a bizarre basketball team because last year they weren't really challenged, but they won an NBA championship without their best player playing well. And the year before, they went down 3-0, remember, in the conference finals to the Miami Heat, and then they won 3 in a row, went back to Boston. It was, I guess the Celtics are going to pull the first ever 3-0 upset, or deficit in history, and then they lost to Miami. They're a confounding basketball team. I think the Knicks will get one more. I do. And I think that means there's a Game 7, and then what happened in that Game 7, your guess is as good as mine, pal. It's been a weird playoffs.
Yeah, I feel like the Boston Celtics won last year's NBA Finals, and people are like, great, they won the finals. It might have been the most unceremonious title I've seen in the NBA Finals history. Like it was just like, okay, great, they won the title. We'll see if they can win 3 more here in this series. They're supposed to. They're favored to do so. Bill Ryder here with us on CBS Sports HQ as the Celtics bounce back in Game 3, get a massive win on the road, beating the Knicks by 22. They led this game by as many as 31, and it is one of the largest home playoff losses in Knicks franchise history. In fact, it's tied for the largest playoff loss in Knicks playoff history. The other one, they lost to the Celtics back in 1954. And here in 2025, they also lose by 22. But the Knicks still have a 2-1 series lead. And they'll be back at home for Game 4 on Monday.